Welcome everyone. Today I'm gonna discuss about policy making and policy making actually important. Definition of policy. Policy is a mean of encouraging directions and initiative but within units. Harold Condes. Significant of policy. Policies are generally a statement of or understanding which guide or channel thinking and action in decision making. They are predetermined decisions rule applicable for a range of managerial decisions and actions. Policies can be understood as a political, management, financial, and administrative mechanism arranged to reach explicit goals. Important of policy. They are standing plans formulated to guide and direct the future course of action. They clearly and crystallized the real values and intention of top management. They facilitate delegations of authority among the various managerial level. They facilitate uniformity of action and coordination of effort. They minimize the discussions of decision-making process. They communicate to outsiders the general attitudes and approaches of the organization. They provide guidance, assistance, and understanding to managers in their action. They minimize the possibilities of bringing managers' personal prejudice in decision. Policy content, purpose statement, applicability and scope statement, effective data, responsibilities section. Forms of action. Policies may be in written form or may take the form of implied, unwritten practices, precedents, principles, and conventions. It is generally believed that written policies tend to minimize the scope for confusions and misinterpretations and tend to promote unified thinking for decision making and action purpose. Distinctions between plan and policies. Plan and policies are different concepts, but they are not distinctly different. Well formulated policies are the key to success of any plan. The implementations of any plan records policy guidelines. Organization plans are based on established policies. Thus, planning and policies making go further as important function of management. Different between policy and procedure. Policies are guiding principle, the set of directions. Top management determines the policies from the basis for the determine the procedure. Policies are relatively flexible. Procedures are guided to actions. Procedures are formulated at the lower managerial role. Procedures for follow the policy. Procedures are deterministics. Example for policy and procedure. Procedure. Basic speed law. You may never legally drive faster than the posted limited speed should depends on the number of and speed of other vehicles or road. The surface condition of the road, wet, dry, rough, wide, narrow, smooth. Bicyclist or pedestrians walking on the road is the climate rating, fogging, windy, dust or snow. Policies, roadsides, take left, take right, diversions ahead, end of the road. Difference between policy and procedures. Policies are standing plans. Policies are formulated to the deals with specific problems concerned with the organization as a whole, or particular policy is a contingent decision. Strategy are single use plans. Strategies are formulated to meet environmental threats. Strategies are concerned with organization as a whole. Strategy is a rule for taking decision. Type of policies: originated policy, applied policy, implied policy, external imposed policies. Step of policy formulating. Identifications of the need for policy. Define the problem and issues that the proposed policy is required to cover. Collections of relevant information which may serve as the base for the formulations of policy. Formulations of preliminary views of management. Formatting of alternative policy proposal. Evaluation of alternative policy proposed through discussions of the proposed at all relevant. Making choose from among alternative policy through a process of progressive elimination. Testing the policy in actions and removing bugs if any. Incorporations of policy in the policy manual. Factor influence formulating policy. Internal factor: organization goal and strategies, organization resource, organization structure. External factor: social political factor, product market factor, resource market factors. These are the different kind of policies we can implement through this process. And if we can understand the role of policy, if we can understand how we can implement the policy, if we can understand how we can make a proper strategy in the policy, that time we can develop the strategy in an effective way. So I just want to share one of the specific strategy which will help us to grow our economy in an effective way. This is one of the research paper, use of research result of policy decision making formulation and implementation, a review of the literatures, which is by Kelly Almenia and Erasnato Bascolo. This paper offers a critical review of the technical literatures of the relationship between the productions of scientific knowledge and its uses in the policy formulation and implementation. Extensive academic outcome using a diversity of approaches and analytical framework has sought to systematic knowledge transfer categories and strategies with a view to improving the applications of scientific knowledge. A considerable part of this thinking addressed the problem from a more traditional perspective, which regard research result as a accumulables product. Despite the decision-making process simplistically and linearly, the result strips of the standing of the resource endeavored to need. News approaches place greater importance on the exploit complexity of the policymaking and the knowledge production process, which are integrated into and explained in particular political and institutional setting, although the applications of the knowledge transfer idea to health policy and systems research does generate some interesting contribution. A long process of theoretical thinking like ahead. This is one of the things that how we can develop some sort of good policy and which will help us to develop our economy in an effective way. So most important thing is that policy is important in COVID-19 situation. We have to change our policy. We have to adapt our policy. We have to make the sustainable policy in an effective way. So if you have any kind of question regarding policy makings, you directly can communicate with me. Thank you, everyone.